Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Easy Tarot Lessons. I'm glad to have you back. I am Dusty White, author of The Easiest Way to Learn the Tarot Ever, Advanced Tarot Secrets, founder of the Waite-Smith Museum of Tarot. You can find that at museumoftarot.org or waitesmith.org. Today we are looking at, that would be Mandy, Sharon, and I today. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
We're looking at the Modern Spellcasters Tarot deck by a friend of mine, Melanie Marquis, and rising star at Llewellyn. So, yay for her. The point of all this is something that Sharon and Mandy brought up, and in our academy over at easytarotlessons.com, our study groups get together and people examine different decks. And, well, Sharon, you're pretty much the originator of that. What do you do? How do you examine different decks? Why do you examine different decks? What do you get from it?
We have this great little program online called Mantiki Pro, and we use that. It's got like over 400 decks on it. So I tell everybody to bring their favorite deck to group, and we pick a card, and I'm able to post every single card from each deck they chose, as far as, like, say we chose the Ace of Wands. So we'd have 5 or 6 different aces up there, and then we'll take the Rider-Waite and compare it to each card and see how each card is different, if they've got the underlying theme that the Rider-Waite does, or if they're vastly different, and then we sit there and figure out the interpretation of it, because the art changes the meaning.
Absolutely. One of the problems that we run into immediately, if you go to one of my competitors' tarot schools, and they're listening, so change your curriculum. Again, I'm happy that you steal from me, so keep doing that. But yeah, I'm calling them out on it. But the thing is, these bastards keep trying to present the lie that you can, quote, learn the tarot, end quote, by memorizing card meanings. You have to stop doing that. This is where you run into problems. So maybe not so much on the Ace of Wands, but when we get deeper into the deck, we're going to compare this particular deck, which is very pretty, and the artwork is very well done. It was done by Melanie Marquis, and the artist was Scott Murphy. So the point being is that as we know that art changes the meaning of the image, hence art, right? We don't have words describing the Mona Lisa or anything done by Picasso or Rembrandt. Everyone's take on it is unique to themselves, and maybe not so unique that they can't share with other people and say, oh yeah, I see the same thing. But we all see slightly different variations, and therefore eventually every 100th person will see something completely different. And then that we get to argue over the meaning. What is the implication of propaganda or art or marketing? Anytime you have a visual component, you're going to have room for interpretation. That's what drives the tarot. So trying to force Kabbalistic or numerological meanings, especially memorized meanings, is the fastest way to end up being a crappy tarot reader. And if you're paying somebody for that, you're being stolen from. And so if you're in one of those schools, you should get a refund, because you're not learning anything you can't learn from a computer, and computers are lousy at reading the tarot. Now, to prove all of this, we're just going to run through some of these cards. Now, I don't see a whole bunch of difference in the ace, but I do want to bring up, we're looking at the Ace of Wands. If you happen to have the Modern Spellcasters Tarot, great. If you don't, hop onto Google if you can and type in Modern Spellcasters Tarot and then Ace of Wands, and then you can change that to 2 of Wands, 3 of Wands without having to retype the whole thing. And if not, just listen in. But what I'm seeing here is like a glorious sunrise. I'm just seeing clouds. I'm seeing rays emanating upwards, which to me, along with the whole Aries element of the Ace of Wands,
Yes.
signifies like a spring or a sunshiny morning, and then we have two rather large birds in flight, and the wand is just coming out of the clouds. This really speaks to me. It speaks to me in a different way
Hmm.
than
Yeah.
the Rider-Waite. I'm a hand holding a stick. Both of those images are valuable, but they both say different things. So when you are reading with a different deck, you have to read that deck. Don't try to translate everything back to the deck that you learned and memorized. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
The other thing is on the Rider-Waite. I mean, sometimes you do see that Ace of Wands as quite a phallic symbol, whereas like there's just nothing whatsoever about this version that would even put that into your mind at all. I'm not saying that you always see it in that way, but sometimes you can do. But I just wouldn't with this.
You know, it was very ham-handedly drawn in that sense, and
Yeah.
what Scott has done here is it seems more organic. I mean, I know it's just a giant stick appearing out of the clouds, but it seems it could happen. I've seen the Lord of the Rings. You know? I mean, I've seen fantasy before, but it looks real.
It's very
Moving on.
vibrant.
Mhm.
It's very vibrant, this one.
Yes, yes, it is. I want to move on just because we're so limited on time in these, but I want to move on to the Two of Wands because you two brought up something interesting before we started recording. Uh, in the um, modern spellcasters Two of Wands, just to be very clear, rather than a gentleman standing alone atop of his empire, on top of his castle, and if you really think about it, to have the ability to go up and stand atop of the castle that you either have access to free reign or own, that's a position of power and authority, and a lot of work went into that. And it's also a very artificial and sterile environment. It's got a very CEO looking out of the 35th or 135th floor kind of feel. So get that in your head and then completely erase that, because here's a guy sitting on a stump. And he's not just sitting on a stump, but he's bound. He's bound literally. He's bound hand and foot. Um, it looks like he's done it to himself, which opens up a whole new world of implications. Um, because again, left hand, right foot are bound, one to each stick. Now that has implications in itself we can read into. But what gets me is that we're in the fall because
Hmm.
of the color of the leaves. Notice this is something we never see in the Rider-Waite deck. This is a lot of information to take in. The grass is green, so this is a fertile area. Gets a lot of rain. It's probably has cows and ducks and sheep because and bunnies because it's got grass and leaves and clouds in the back, and we have a bird, but he's sitting on a stump, and it's like metaphysically he is bound to question mark. That's where we insert interpretation. Yes, he has a yin yang on his shirt, but let's hold off on that a moment. But he's sitting there, looks like he's smiling, looks like he's hard to tell because he's got like a big full face beard, but he doesn't look unpleasant. It's like he's communicating with or just observing a bluish bird. I don't know what type that is. That just happened to land on his palm, and so he's at one or at peace with nature. But what strikes me is that he is bound, earthbound, to his beliefs, to his ambitions, to whatever those sticks represent, and yet he is comfortable experiencing the freedom of the bird.
Yeah.
So after describing that, I wanted to see what you guys said because I wanted to paint a word picture for everybody.
I love what you said about admiring the freedom of the bird, but he
Yeah.
almost at times feels like somebody who would protest because the tree is just leveled to where he can sit on it, and all the other trees are in the background. It looks like he's protesting. You know, those people who tie themselves to the giant trees
Oh
so that
yeah,
it
like
doesn't.
Yeah.
Butterfly, I think was her name. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he's telling that little bird. I hear him telling that little bird, "I'm saving your homes."
You see, that's an interesting take on this. So there are a
Yeah.
number of things you can pull from this, and this again goes back to validate my form of teaching, which is read the image, not the book.
Yeah.
And I know other teachers have stolen that, and I my lawyers will come for you. But ultimately, what I just want is I want everybody listening, I want everyone reading to put down your goddamn book of tarot card meanings and use your eyeballs if you want to learn the secrets of the masters. And if you want to work excellent magic that actually works, and if you want to read tarot like a professional, listen to the people who do this. And, we have an academy. I'll be happy to teach you a lot more. But even for free, I'm telling you, step number 1, throw away the little white book. Step number 2, throw away every book you own other than mine, because and don't even bother to read the meanings of the cards in the back. But I have exercises designed for you to explore your interpretation of the cards. Every teacher needs to stop what they're doing and start doing that. Come up with your own techniques, but teach your students how to explore the interpretation of their cards. Don't force feed them card meanings. And that's what I keep ranting about, because if we look at this card, it is so completely different.
Yeah.
2 of Wands in the Rider deck, they might as well be the 2 of Wands and the 17 of Wands.
Yeah.
Now, if we memorized card meanings, we're screwed. We can't possibly. We're going to be sitting here, wait. He's not looking out at the world. He doesn't have the vision, and there's no ocean there, and he's not holding a globe.
Yeah.
So, what I want to do is help anyone listening to break the shell around their head and just allow the cards to speak to you, and this is how you do it. Moving on to the 3 of Wands, we do have a little bit of the same thing as Rider-Waite. She is, or the Rider deck, I should say, because it specifically was Rider. She's standing on an elevated perch. She's got 3 sticks. She's looking out over an expanse. But here she seems to be interacting with 3 hawks. Hawks are cardinal air, so they're Libra. They are cardinal, alpha male. I mean, not alpha males, alpha females, alpha predators. See, this is what happens with pattern behavior. Alpha predators and air, mercurial, of the air. So put that together, we have the astrological sign of Libra. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
Anybody?
Yeah.
And to further the Libra thing, notice the Triskel. She is all things in balance. It's a very Libra concept.
Yeah.
All right, so take it away. What do you guys get from this? And there are no wrong answers. It's just, what do you see in the picture? What does it inspire you?
One thing I'd like to point out, I don't think I pointed this out to you earlier. In this particular deck, it is very obvious that wands are air and swords are fire.
As they should be.
Wow.
Good.
Yeah.
I like that. Oh, you know what? That worked with the bird.
Yes.
Yeah, when you said...
They've all had birds, haven't they? All 3 so far.
Yeah, so see...
I've never seen this deck before. This is first time. But yeah, all 3 so far that you've shown me have all got birds in them, and birds that are very significant in them as well.
So kudos to Scott and Melanie that this is how the sorry kids if you haven't been around or been enlightened to the deep recesses of thought that we release over hundreds of podcasts and in the school and in the books. Yeah, there's this very contentious debate over whether wands are fire and air, or air, and same thing with swords. And just because one person says something does not make it so. And that's exactly what happened eons ago. One person said something, it became so, everybody copied them, and there was no room for introspection or examination and analysis to say, is this correct? Is this right? And this is the problem with the tarot and memorization of meanings, is we get into fixed patterns of thought. Don't take the easy way out. Wow, just memorize stuff. That's how we got into this mess where the public laughs at tarot readers. I don't want us to be laughed at. I want us to be worshipped like gods, because we have the ability to foretell the future, to find things other people can't. Of course we do. All you have to do is use your intuition. Develop your skills. The tarot is just right here. So again, yay me for picking up on the cardinal aspect, cardinal air thing. But at the same time, I had no idea that the wands had been associated with air. So I'm just super thrilled with everybody who put this together, and for Llewellyn to allowing this to proceed.
She's very elevated as well. It would appear on those rocks, whereas the other guy in the two is, you know what I mean? He's down on the grass. He's more grounded. This seems to be taking off more.
Now, when we talk about air, what have we come up with? The Ace of Wands was very spacious. We had voluminous air. In the Two of Wands, everything was very stable. The bird wasn't flapping his wings because there was no breeze. The gentleman didn't have the breeze blowing his hair around. Leaves weren't flying. So it was very calm air. Here we have cardinal air. See how her ribbons are being blown, and even her for her hair and her, what is that, a gown, a robe? But for that to be blowing as much as it is, she is in a very harsh wind. Again, so we have cardinal air, and we have a fixed air in
yes.
The two.
Thank you. Yeah. And I'm gonna leave it open to interpretation for the ace. But see, this is what I'm talking about, as in we want to find cards that give us a lot of room to make our interpretation, because the art is correct and the art is detailed.
Lovely, this.
Oh, I love this. Oh,
gosh.
Now, here we have a slightly different take on things, which really changes everything. Again, we're just kind of going through the Wands cards. I don't want to belabor the point with everybody and go over, each and every card. But here we have a real break from the symbology of the Rider cards, while maintaining some or one aspect of the core meaning. Now, I like this, but at the same time, this is probably the least descriptive card to me personally. We have two females being handfasted. Absolutely fantastic. That's wonderful. What I dislike is we don't get much more out of that. There's just not a lot of symbolism. We've got the four staves. We've got the autumn leaves. All right, that's autumn. Yes. So again, we have a very Libra card, right? Libra, marriage, seventh house, relationships happens in autumn. And we have the little lovebirds. Yeah. This is very powerful, but it's also very singular.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes out that element of celebration with the other people.
Right. So the only problem that I have with this card is we're limited to this card can only mean this.
See, I get a super Two of Cups feeling from
this. I was going to say that as well. Yeah.
Tell me how.
That
I'm not disagreeing. I want to hear.
that diversity. Not only are they two females, but they're interracial. So it's that open-mindedness of accepting other people as they are, and I get that from the Two of Cups in the Rider-Waite. But
Yeah.
this Four of Wands gives me that. Walk a mile in your moccasins. See you as you who you are, not what you look like.
Yeah, loving the person, not their appearance.
Yeah.
Very, very good. I like that. So again, I love the gender and racial inclusivity. That's a very positive, powerful, and neo-pagan message to send. Again, staying with my complaint, our color scheme is very fall colors. This is a very powerful card that sends one clear message. What it
Right.
fails to do is send a message that allows us to see a variety of things. We could see this as being, this kind of, in a way, very much Rider-Waite Lover's card, as far as meaning, interpretation, not meaning, interpretation. Interpretation, comma, meaning complete acceptance, teamwork, pure harmony. So it's got kind of a Two of Cups Lover's card feel if we want to draw comparison to the Rider deck. But it is its own card. And also, unlike the Rider deck, there's no buildings, there's no bridges.
Yeah.
There's also nobody there. This doesn't mean it's in secret because it is wide open, but the lack of other people really means that there's no one else that matters,
Ooh, yeah.
which is a good message to send in any relationship. No one else matters. It's you and enjoy. Screw what everybody else says, or even that they would. So, running through real quick. Let's see, Five of Wands.
I love that.
Well, that's for anybody who doesn't have this. I'm just going to say, yeah, it's a pinata, right? I'm just going to call this the pinata card and not spoil it for anybody. That was awesome. I'm going to call this the Jesus card, the Six of Wands.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful too. I just love this deck. God.
Now I know that these are air cards, and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But Sharon, you've seen the astrology deck. This has a real Mercury Leo or Leo Mercury kind of feel.
Ooh, yeah, it does.
Let's see, I would just right there, and okay, I've got to move on because I don't want to just stay with one particular thing and bore people to death. So let's just jump into some of the majors real quick. Mandy, give me a random major arcana card and pop it up.
Temperate. I'm buying this. I'll tell you as soon as I put the phone down.
Okay. I mean, some of them are obvious. Like, okay, that's going to be the. Oh, what about this guy? He's pouring from one thing to another.
Yep, that's it.
Oh, there we go. So this is a very mercurial card. See, he's got the winged sandals and the winged head and the caduceus. I mean, holy crap! Can we? How many times can we repeat the same imagery over and over and over? All right. So remember that whole land, sea, and sky thing. It's interesting here where we repeated that. So his left foot is firmly planted on the ground.
Yes.
His right foot is got his toes dipped in the water, and then the air aspect is represented by the not just by the a cardinal wind blowing from the right to the left, but also he's got wings on his sandals, or maybe his feet. It's hard to tell because those are pretty flimsy sandals, and then wings on his either hat or growing out of his head, then his hat's pulled over it. But nonetheless, so we retained the land, sea, and sky triangle, the caduceus. So very mercurial, meaning this. God, this is a very Gemini mercurial card. We could argue there could be some Virgo aspects to this, especially with the patience and care that he's exercising and the skill. That's a perfect pour. If he moves 1 centimeter, it's going to go everywhere. Interesting. I'm not familiar with the tulip imagery, like what they're going for with that. But it's again a very very pretty card.
All of
Uh,
them. Yeah.
any thoughts on this card as far as interpretation?
I he feels so much different than the Rider-Waite Temperance
Yes,
to
he
me.
does.
And I kept calling him Hermes. I can't believe I
No,
couldn't
that
remember
works.
Mercury. Duh. I kept calling him Hermes. It's like he's saying be patient. He has
Mm.
more of a patience feel. I guess he's balanced, yes, because he does have the whole foot in the water and the foot on the land. But he
Okay.
feels so patient to me.
Which is anti-mercurial energy, which is kind of funny, right?
Yeah.
In the Rider-Waite, I'm often drawn to the path that is a very clear sort of,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I miss that not being there actually. I hate to sort of say that, but I am conscious of that not being there. I know there's the sort of valley thing and the sun in the background, but I'm not aware of where that this is necessarily leading anywhere like I am with the Rider-Waite.
No, that's a good point. And if we just to play off of that, we could. This is a stretch. I completely admit that right away. But if we see how the hill on the left in the background is overlaid by the hill on the right, we could
Yes.
suppose question mark that there might be some type of tributary or like a stream or a path
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is like ziggy zaggy, or that is like at a diagonal that leads to the sun. Now
Yeah.
again, that's stretching it, like I said. So I notice, yeah, I'm because we were raised with one set symbolism. I understand the, hey, where's where's the path? So
Yeah.
and again, I'm glad you're bringing this up because this is what other people will do when they
Yeah.
see a deck. Is they'll go, "Well, I like this, but
Yeah.
where's what I'm used to?"
I
And
know.
and we need those people to grow up to be big, strong tarot readers. We need them to be. Uh,
Yes.
It's
yes,
like if
Sharon.
the Page of
Right. Well,
Cups, if that
but it,
fish is not in the Page of Cups, I get very distressed.
I,
I I
oh,
have. We'll have to take a look at that. Um,
yes.
now, holy and moly.
Isn't she beautiful?
Oh,
Well, it's pretty obvious. It's just, uh, it's funny how the tarot gets away with this not safe for work or not safe for kids kind of thing. Um, Warning to anyone: we're looking at the strength. We're looking at the strength card, and there is full sideways nudity. There's just no way to put it, and it's tastefully done, I suppose.
yeah.
What do we have? We have a snake, a
Yes.
lion, a female with looks like a Harry Potter wand. Although I like the way she's holding it, like Voldemort is. Like, oh, that,
I
um, and
love this.
let's see. Is that a frog?
I believe it is.
Okay, so starting at the bottom, it looks like a cactus, and I'm not sure what that thing is next to the cactus. Between the snake, could be part of the cactus.
Yeah.
We have a wreath around the lion.
Mm.
Okay, that's nice. We have her riding bareback on, literally, on the lion. Looks like a frog swimming, and
Yeah.
then in a pond. It looks like to me, it looks like either a volcano or a glowing lotus, like a spiritual lotus. And then we have really harsh mountains just shooting up out of the ground.
Yeah.
Um, Completely different symbology. But again, see here we have something to work with. We have different images to within the image to look at.
Yeah.
Even the lion.
I think
Look
this
at
is
this.
fantastic, this card. I love it.
And
Very
this had the most mundane meaning for me one time when I was doing a reading. It was for a friend who was going to Hawaii. And there's a beach on Hawaii inside of a volcano called Hanama Bay. And I turned that card over and I was like, you got to go visit Hanama Bay.
Yay.
It's the
Wow.
volcano caught me.
Yeah, again, this is the nature of the tarot is we can't I don't want to be the adult in the room. Don't make me, turn into an old man, wow, back in my day we didn't memorize cards. Well, I'm sure we did. That was what was wrong with it. Don't you dare memorize kids. Don't make me kick down your door and start turning over furniture. If you're going to be memorizing meanings, study numerology, study the Kabbalah, hell, study astrology. Don't study the tarot. You don't memorize meanings in the tarot. I don't care what anybody else says. Don't do it. You're going to hurt yourself. Period. If you don't believe me, go ahead and do it. The rest of us are making a lot more than you do. We've got better clients, and we're getting them better results, and we're not having people coming back and complaining that our readings aren't precise, accurate, and apply to them. And so, again, it's my public service announcement.
I think that's what screwed me up for years, Dusty, is because I started when I was really young and I had the memorized meanings and my intuition was trying to kick in. And I kept fighting myself when my intuition would speak, saying, no, that's not what the card means. And it really set me back isn't he beautiful? Sorry.
Yeah, let's look at the Emperor card. Now, again, this is my first time seeing Melanie's deck. My own damn fault, right? Supposed to be doing this. We are looking at essentially the horned god. If we were to make the sign of Taurus, if we were to anthropomorphize, we were to turn that into a human, except let's give bottom Taurus. Well, actually, it's more of like a deer. So let's say a deer god. So that'd be like horned god, because very pan, except with the deer head just kind of slapped on top, and then sitting on a throne, which is a tree, which has bull torsos and heads as arms. So again, just screams out earth, and then of course the wand or the scepter. We have an acorn, and then we have the globe, and then we have the moon, and then above him we have a Tibetan wand. Is that an elk? Sorry, I was looking at the antlers. Maybe not a deer. That's more like an elk thing.
It's still got all that sort of corn stuff, hasn't it? Like that's in the Empress card. Like growing around him.
Yeah, but it's on
fire. Well, see, the Emperor card has a lot. Well, we have the wheat.
The wheat, yeah, sorry.
So we're pulling from the Empress, from the Rider-Waite, Rider card, and then like you said, Sharon, we've got the masculine element of fire and the smoke. This is a completely different version of authority than the ZZ Top guy on all right, you kids, open up your internet machines and type in ZZ, letter Z space TOP. Yeah, and you'll see these old guys with a beard and go, you're like, oh my God, it's the Emperor. Those guys are old. It's like, no, they weren't around that long. But yeah, this is a totally different feel of this. Awesome deck, and again, very easy on the eye, which I prefer idealistically, not necessarily realistic, but I really prefer art that is pleasant to look at. It makes it so much easier for us to read the tarot.
I do find this card amazing, but at the same time a little bit scary. That it's sort of part human and he's got these hooves and the animal. I don't know if I like it.
Well, the way that we were raised in the Judeo-Christian Western world, we have been bombarded with symbology that our modern minds have. We live in a modern world, person, animal, and then so these archaic medieval images that are just thrown at us by the dominant religions in the world. Yeah, this is another thing. I'm glad you brought that up. People will react to entire decks or tarot cards viscerally in different ways because of how they were brought up. And this is why Mantiki Pro, and it's editor.mantike.pro. Mantiki Pro is so awesome, and you should support it all. Everybody, just make a small donation. I don't have anything to do with this, just public service. But they have over 400 decks that you can, and if they don't have a deck that you like, write them. Contact them. Say, But they have a variety of decks that you can look at and say, do I want to spend my money on this deck? Do I like every card? Sharon, you're old like I am. I know I'm the king of politeness. Remember back in the day, we would buy something called a record album, either on vinyl or cassette, because we heard a song on a radio and it was awesome. And there's like one or two songs and then 7, 8, 9 songs that just blow chunks. They're just garbage.
Yes.
Like, oh man, I wasted $5.99 on Columbia Record Tape Club. Sorry, Columbia Record Tape Club. No, I think we go to Tower Records. Out of business, they can't sue me. Went to Tower Records, man. I wasted $12 on a crappy album, and it's like, oh man. And that's the same thing with tarot decks. Is we see a couple of images, we're like, oh my god, this is great. And then we start to try to read with them, and we're like, oh God, this sucks. Or we see cards and we're like, oh, I don't like that. So Mandy brings up a good point. This particular card would take some getting used to in her mind. And again, does she connect with the rest of the decks? This is something, she'd have to go through. So she could appreciate this deck. She might buy this deck. She might buy this deck and give it away as a gift. But if you're going to have a deck that you read with all the time, and this is why I really like Mantiki Pro, and there were some other websites that unfortunately got taken down for copyright infringement, but they weren't trying to make money. They were trying to help sell decks. It'd be nice if Llewellyn and US Games would put all their decks up so we could, look at all the images and go, yeah, I want that deck. Click, order, buy, Amazon, run down to your local metaphysical store, say, give me that deck. Here, just looking at the Emperor, we're learning, oh, wow, wait, there are 78 cards in the deck. We have to connect with all of them. And this is a problem that a lot of people have with the Rider deck. They're like, I don't like it. It's like, I understand, but it's the single most popular deck in the world, and it's the one on which all of the meanings are based. Therefore, if you are going to use a deck like this, you're not going to have to relearn the tarot unless you've gone to any other school other than mine. And it's not an advertisement, it's a fact. If you've been taught this card means this card means this, memorize meanings, Kabbalah, formula, numerology, it's not going to work with this. You're going to have to read every description in a book, and you're going to have to force yourself to memorize it. Then you're going to have to get used to it. You're going to be 3 years out before you actually can, really give world-class readings. On the other hand, if you've been trained properly to breathe the essence of the card in, compare the cards against each other, find commonalities, differences, read the hidden meanings, patterns, all of this stuff, get easytarotlessons.com, start for $1 or GTFO, because we're giving this stuff away for free. That's how committed we are to ridding the world of crappy tarot readers. So if you're going to read with a deck like this or another deck, it's essentially the same thing. You You have to be able to, I don't know, here, let's pop something up here. I don't know.
Do the
I'm
High
just going
Priestess.
High Priestess.
Oh, okay.
All right. So here's the High Priestess from Scott and Melanie's deck. We have the two pillars. Now, I'm not familiar exactly with what these particular uh, runes and lines are off the top of my head, so I'm not going to give you that. Again, look it up or maybe you'll know. It looks like pineapple on top of the one pillar. I could be wrong. And a globe on top of the other. We have the crescent moon. We have pomegranates. All right, on the back. Um, is that Moses?
I think
Is that our Lord and
so.
Savior
Oh
Moses?
wow, yeah.
And the high priestess has an opal for a face and a black hand like the mafia, and she's doing the benediction sign, or maybe she's pointing and just got two stubby little fingers. She's got an alchemical book open. We know it's alchemical because I see the sign for fire and earth, right? And then Venus and some other squigglies. So this is not astrological. It is not Kabbalistic. It is, you look at the symbols, you put together these, what do they have in common? They all have common alchemy. So this is an alchemical book. So maybe she's teaching, maybe she's casting, maybe she's summoning up Moses, a little bit. You just look at the card and you'll see. Again, and then she's got the, in this case, knowing Melanie, I would say this could be the triple moon, although that was not indicated in the Rider deck. They just slapped that on there.
She looks a bit like an astronaut, kind of, to me.
Yeah, it was a face mask, right?
Yeah, and it's like a sort of spacesuit, that kind of collar thing that she's got on. Something like
she is kind of a cosmic entity.
Yeah.
So let's bring this up a little larger so we can focus on
She's
her.
a little creepy.
It can be, yeah. No, I can see that. And again, this is what is your brain telling you? And
I don't think she's from this planet.
Right. So ethereal,
really
cosmic, alien entity.
Yes.
Interesting that entity from another planet would use something as simplistic as a book. But fair enough, maybe she's using primitive Earth technology. But I do like the drape, the whatever that is, the head shawl thing, the way it folds over. Again, the art on this deck is phenomenal. And see the lighting, the way they did the lighting here, they've got different. So the thing is, I keep saying that right. Look carefully at the cards you're using, and don't be restricted to one particular deck. But for the love of baby Moses here, it's right in front of us. Don't run out and buy every deck in the world and then ended up broke, or end up with a whole bunch of decks that and they say this because people do this all the time. Matter of fact, it is endemic. It happens more than it doesn't. We buy so many decks and they just sit there, and we don't realize they're sitting there until we have to get rid of them. We're like, why did how did I get 100 decks?
I'm working on it. No.
Here's one right now. I swear, I no lie. I'm picking this up. What is this? The Illuminated Tarot. I haven't even opened it. I haven't even pulled it out of the. It's still in the plastic. The Illuminated Tarot, 53 cards for divination and gameplay. Well, if it's 53 cards,
it's not tarot.
It's not the tarot. Oh, I see. It's 53 cards because it's a 52 card deck. I see Ace, 7, 9, King, 10. And then they've just drawn pictures on it, kind of like you might with the Lenormand deck. But here it looks like the images are supposed to match the meaning of the cards, unlike the Lenormand. And then the 53rd deck, probably like a Joker or something. So this is cartomancy, but they're calling it the tarot. See, I just stood up and went, why do I have this deck here? The thing is, yes, okay. Here's a shout out for Llewellyn and U.S. Games and every other card manufacturer. Buy decks. Just stupidly go out and buy everything. Keep the economy going. Buy decks you don't care about. There. Now I've done a service for the manufacturers. Now for everybody else, spend your money on education. Literally, good education, bad education. As long as you're getting educated, you'll eventually know, wow, I should have gone there, I should have done this. It's still a lesson to be had, right? But spend your money on education, not on more tarot decks. There's no magic bullet tarot deck that's going to make you a good reader. Something like this particular deck that we're looking at today is very easy on the eye, and you'll like it or you will not. Again, go to Mantiki Pro. I'm looking at the list of decks here. Oh, God, that just goes on forever. Yeah, 427 decks currently. Let's see, grab one at random. This is the Hermetic deck. It's black and white.
Ooh, that one is crazy. It's got so much symbolism in it. I had a friend that was trying to learn with the Hermetic deck, and God bless him. Yeah, we got him on the Rider-Waite.
yeah, it sounds nice. It's like, oh, that's another. Look at me. I've got all this knowledge that I'm trying to ingest. We have Justice. We have Venus versus Saturn. That's an interesting comparison. We have the Yin versus the Yang. Actually, technically, the Yang versus the Yin. We have not four phases of the moon. We have just 4 different moons. We have a half moon, half moon, half moon, half moon.
Oh, just in different.
You got to look very closely. Yeah. Don't forgive bad art. Don't fill in what you think is there. See what's actually there. All right. So again, interesting. And then we have numbers up there. Daughter of the Lord of Truth. Sure. All right. In some made-up mythos, there is a Lord of Truth who has a daughter. If you look hard enough, you'll find mythos that meets your paradigm. So that's nice. So what did we learn here today, kids? We learned that Mantiki Pro is an awesome way to find a deck that you would like before you go spend all your money on it. We found it's a great way to compare decks one against another. Being in Russia, they probably won't be sued out of existence. So I'm not at all into copyright infringement, but they're not selling anything here. And we're literally doing a public service to help people buy more tarot decks. So I don't see how anybody can really be against this site. It's an awesome site. Yeah. It works best in Google Chrome because Google will offer to translate it, which is not perfect, but certainly does help. So if you're using Safari, I don't know about Edge. Oh yeah, but hey, if you're Russian, great. You don't need to worry about it, or if you speak Russian or whatever. But we learned that art changes meaning, and how just using different decks. And let's say, because we were going to talk about this today until this came up, Mandy, we're not really going to go into this, but you had something about using 2 different decks. So if you're using 2 different decks in a reading, and if they're not the same exact deck, and let's be real about this. Most people reading with 2 decks won't have two the same exact deck. Because why would you? I've got a Rider deck, and I've got a Crowley deck, and I've got an Illuminated Tarot deck, and I've got the Sisters of the Moon deck. I've got the Halloween deck. I've got 5 Halloween decks at different manufacturer. I mean, you have, so you're not going to be reading with the same exact cards more than likely if you're reading with 2 different decks. So you can't just say, oh, look, I've got 2 ones at the same time. It's the same meaning.
Well, I've got more than one Rider-Waite deck. So when I say I'm reading with 2 decks, I'm talking about the same deck.
Okay, now that's good to know, and that's important that you clarified that.
Yes, and sometimes I just feel that I want to do I'm doing a spread for one person, and I feel I want to come at it from another person's point of view, the same situation.
We need to hold on to that because we're going to get sucked into a very long discussion. Yes.
I'm just saying, I just feel the urge to use a second deck, and it's interesting if any of the same cards come up. That's all I was saying, right?
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
We teach this technique in the academy. It's not in week 1 or week 15. It's later on down the road.
Right.
But yeah, working with 2 or more decks, how to do it, the pitfalls, the pros, the cons, and what happens. But wrapping up today, if you're still here, thank you very much. We have a $1 special. Give us a try. If you don't like us after a month, we'll give you your $1 back. But come study with other students, learn the meanings of the cards, and then learn how to do the spreads, and then learn how to do the advanced techniques. So we take you from beginner all the way through expert. I've been teaching people who've been reading longer than I have been alive. So I've run the gamut. I teach pros, I teach beginners. We have a place for you here. I don't care how long you've been reading, we can make you a better reader. Other than that, easytarotlessons.com, and come back for more free podcasts and better videos now that I'm going to video school. Any last minute words of advice or wisdom or folly on using different decks or the value of different decks?
My advice is, if you get a new deck, get to know it before you try to read for it. Don't just open it and start reading, because they are all different. Oh, you heard me. Okay, I've got a story for this 3 of Pentacles, Dusty. This is adorable. Four of us got the same deck on the same day, and we opened them together online, because like New York, Washington, D.C., Brazil, and we were looking at this card and see how he's teaching those children about the apple. And Michelle went, "Oh, look, it's Dusty." And Anita went, "And look, there's Squirrel helping him."
Oh my God, I'm embarrassed. Yay! Yes, I should get a crazy mustache like this. That'd be awesome. And I don't know what kind of hat that is, but I want a crazy mustache and an awesome hat. And then maybe I'll just walk around in a set of robes. I probably improve my appearance a bit. That would be awesome. Yes. Mandy, any thoughts on different? I mean, I've got nothing against the Rider deck, and we have people learn that. But when you do work with a different deck and different art,
yeah, I can see how it really kind of like will stretch your intuition even further to sort of you know.
Well, it takes it in a different direction. It's remember, this is straight from Art versus Art, from the course or the Black Book. So we have to look at masterpieces of art as if they are tarot cards.
Yeah.
So there's nothing we haven't already learned.
I am guilty of using my good old faithful Rider-Waite deck all the time, even though I own a lot of decks.
There's nothing wrong with that. See, it's like, I want to be very clear on this, and I'm glad you brought that up, because this is the most important lesson of all. Look around. A professional an expert mechanic, a doctor who is obviously a professional, a lawyer. They don't go around getting new law books, or they don't use 15 different brands of wrenches. You have your trusty wrench.
Yes.
You have a certain brand of scalpel. It operates, the weight, the balance, the curve of the blade. We don't have to go out finding the newest, latest thing. And again, this is a problem with the tarot, is there's so many decks out there, and there's so many people that want to be tarot artists. Yay, right? I support that. But we're inundated with deck after deck after deck. It's like, imagine if you were a mechanic and you're just trying to service the needs of the people, and you've got people beating down your door every day. Hey, try this new fancy schmancy wrench. Wrenches are old. Here's this graviton 9000. It magnetizes your screw so it flies right out. It's like, and you can't stop and do your work because you've got to figure out if this new shiny thing is better. So not to sound old-fashioned and curmudgeon-y, but if you have a tool that works,
Yes.
what's most important? Your client's happiness, right?
Yeah.
That you do a good job for them. They say, "Wow, I actually got something of value. I'm going to use this information. I'm going to profit from it. Thank you very much. I'll be taking that, and I might come back because I'm greedy. I want more." You know, if I go to a restaurant and they serve me good food, I'm greedy. I want more of that food. I'm going to keep going back to that restaurant. So we want to, the only thing that really matters, all of this teaching, all of this that we do is designed so that everyone listening, you go out there and people keep coming back for more of you.
Yes.
You can't learn this doing it in an ass backward way. So I'm doing the Lord's work, trying to save you from bad tarot teaching. Other than that, good luck, everybody. Sharon, Mandy, thank you very much for being here. Thank you all for letting me rant. But I've been doing this so long, I'm not afraid of ranting. I've got a killer astrology book and course coming out. It's going to blow away whatever's out there right now. It is not the end-all, be-all, and it's not meant to be. All it is it will take anyone who's not an expert in astrology, and it'll make them supremely supremely adept at astrology. And then from there, they can take their skills to expert level in any number of fields. So if you're an absolute beginner or you think you know astrology, give the book a try. And I guarantee, I'll buy the damn book back from you. I guarantee you will not find a book that will make it clearer, easier, or more thorough, and where you will really understand. Oh, this is why astrology is so awesome. This is why it's the science behind magic. This is what it's all about. And then from there, move on and stretch and grow. Maybe I'll do advanced books, but that's not what we're working on right now.
I just got my first review for doing a natal chart today, and I am really thrilled with that review. But but she was extremely
kicked
happy.
Out. Was she happy? Not happy?
She was so happy. She was excited that because I didn't know her very well. Well, I did after I did the chart, huh? And she was extremely surprised of how much of her life I was able to pick out, and that's thanks to you. Like I really enjoyed doing her chart, and she left me an incredibly good review.
Oh, good. So one last thing, children, listen very carefully to the old man here. Don't use these skills for evil. Mandy, let's say you're on a date and you're doing a reading for someone seems rather interesting, and they look at you and go, I feel like I've known you forever. And you're like, yes, I feel like I've known you forever. No, it's the astrology talking. You're telling them things about themselves, and they're like, you get me. And you're like, I can see through you. And then you think, this must be love. It's like, no. You're going to be like this with everyone forever. You're going to see through everything.
Yeah.
So don't use your powers for people.
Yeah.
Okay. Been here an hour. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.